Hey everyone, if there's one person I feel the worst for on YouTube, it has to be Mr. Beast. Because no matter what he does, there will always be a cloud of hatred following him, in both his videos and outside. Because we've all seen the wave of people attacking him after every big event where he does something nice. It actually happens so many times, I'm not surprised by it anymore. But what does surprise me is people who take more severe actions, like suing him, which happened recently. Now before I say what he was sued for, I want to let you guess what it was over, like a video, or maybe something he said on Twitter, which to be fair, he does quite a lot, because of how many people at him. But regardless, it wasn't because of any of that, but instead, because one of his feasible flavors, these nuts, which I think is funny because it has to be that one out of all the other flavors. Thankfully, when I started this video, I thought it was going to be a massive court case, but then over time, I started realizing how much of a joke it was.
I don't think Mr. Beast thought he was going to be sued for dropping this product, but here we are. The story starts in January of 2022 when Mr. Beast launched Feastables and actually started to disrupt the chocolate industry in America because his ingredients are actually pretty solid compared to mainstream brands. Feastables is really riding the trend of consumers being more conscious in what they're putting into their bodies. And everything was smooth sailing, definitely in comparison to the fast food business he was in until this happened.
What's the biggest thing you've ever made?
The biggest thing I've ever made? Probably D's Nuts. When Jimmy told me about D's
He was
Nuts,
so proud of
I knew
himself.
it was gonna be huge.
When Jimmy first told me about D's Nuts, I thought he was crazy.
I love D's Nuts.
Same.
I keep a pair on me at all times.
D's Nuts taste so good.
It's like this amazing peanut butter chocolate flavor.
Nut tap.
That's good nuts.
You have to try These Nuts. Go to Feastables.com right now if you want some
Oh,
nuts.
he couldn't hold it in, he had to break character.
A gag on a classic internet meme.
Some came in the mail today. These nuts.
I think, first off, I think the meme is hilarious. I think this meme is gonna last a century. These nuts joke is gonna last more than like the Roman Empire. But I love the fact that this guy's name online is Wolfram the Great. Actual genius.
Got him.
But clearly, someone was not in on the joke, and that's the snack company by the name of D's Nuts, which is a small business in Jacksonville, Florida, which, according to Google, is permanently closed. So I found their website, and apparently they're being sold at Walmart as well. But it seems like they just sell peanuts in cans and in bags, and it doesn't seem like there's any chocolate being sold here. So, I mean, this whole thing just kind of seems like a cash grab to me, but I'm also no lawyer, so I have no idea what I'm talking about. The dudes are slinging seasoned nuts, and I guess they're pressed about an internet meme. But I reached out to the lawyer and YouTuber Matt Katzer to see if he could get me this lawsuit, which he could. So shout out to that man because he delivered. And this is definitely a confusing lawsuit. I would think this lawsuit would be thrown out pretty quickly, but I guess not, because here we are. But the whole lawsuit is around a trademark infringement around the name D's Nuts, even though they're spelled differently. Here, the company
Surely it would take one day to disprove that in court by just saying it's more like a reference to the meme. I'm surprised Wolfram the Great didn't actually sue them just for like putting the name on the product.
Nuts claims that the D's Nuts mark was first selected and used by Brian A. DeTore, predecessor in interest to and current principal of plaintiff D's Nuts LLC. Brian A. DeTore selected the D's Nuts mark based on his grandmother, who many know as Miss D. Her laughter and belief that life should not be taken too seriously inspired Brian to select a trademark that paid homage to her and her comedic flair. Hence, D's Nuts was created. Brian began offering D's Nuts processed peanuts with his family and with
It is
substantial
so
investment
dragged
of
out.
time, money,
I feel like
and
they're really trying to
resources.
like play on the judge's heartstrings to make me feel like, oh, this poor family business. They're really getting fucked over by These Nuts, by Mr. Beast, These Nuts chocolate brand.
For the United States Patent and Trademark Office of the trademark D's Nuts for use with processed nuts. The application was to register the trademark D's Nuts was assigned a serial number, On July 26, 2012, Brian filed a statement of the use of the USPTO stating that the trademark D's Nuts has been used in commerce in connection
Spelling error right there. Oh, they're fucked.
processed nuts.
Case
on May 3rd,
closed.
2012, including the below specimen. Okay, so that's their story of where it's from, but if you look at, I guess, the internet story of where it's actually from Know Your Meme, it says the term was originally coined by Dr. Dre in 1993 in his song These Nuts, where he says this in the opening of it.
Hey, did what's your name get at you yesterday? These nuts.
Then obviously the more famous version of that was the meme I showed earlier with the "Ha, got him" guy.
Got him.
Because that one was originally released in 2015. I feel like it's very clear that the Feastables team didn't steal this remark from the Nut Company, rather from that meme. But that Nut Company also sent a cease and desist. And the TLDR of what the D's Nuts Company claimed was the remarks are identical in all material respects and appearance, sound, and connotation. Feastables chocolate bars are closely similar to D's Nuts processed nut products because those two distinct products products are snack foods. Oh boy.
It is such a stretch, man. I really want to see. Oh shit! I really want to see where this goes in like 2 weeks. I refuse to believe this is gonna last longer than 1 year. There's so many parts that they're throwing out as like the defense points, but it just makes no sense. If this is like nut company, these nuts for like the family business, if they were like a huge juggernaut, I could see a chance of them being able to like sue Mr. Beast properly. But I feel it's one of the situations where like the owner saw like a lucky opportunity to like maybe make some money. But I'm saying at the same time, I'm pretty sure if someone like fails this kind of court, it can be pretty hefty. So maybe they just want. I don't feel like they have a huge business, therefore they want to like take a good risk and maybe make some money. But I feel it's just gonna fuck over really badly.
I want to remember it's peanut butter in it, and then you have the D's Nuts Nut Company who sells peanuts in a can and in bags in some cases. But they continue by saying the party's goods are offered in the same geographical areas to the same consumers and through the same channels of trade. And they demanded Feastables to immediately cease and desist all use of D's Nuts and any confusingly similar marks for snack foods. Immediately destroy all snack
Isn't
foods.
D's Nuts just like one flavor of the Feastables chocolate? Like, don't they have other free flavors as well? Like, does that mean they want all the entire Feastables brand shut down? Because that makes no
custody
sense.
or control bearing D's Nuts or any confusingly similar mark, and provide written certification of compliance. And to that, Feastables replied, respectfully, Feastables rejects all aspects of D's Nuts allegations and demands. As an initial matter, your statement that D's Nuts is firmly committed to protecting its investment in the mark and will vigorously oppose any encroaching marks is inconsistent with your client's history of enforcement efforts. A cursory review shows that the mark D's Nuts was registered on September 25th, 2012, with a claim first use in commerce date of March 5th, 2012. Despite your statement that D's Nuts vigorously opposes any encroaching marks, there is not one record of a trademark trial, an appeal board, opposition, or cancellation proceeding involving that registration. Yet, the following marks being subsequently filed and allowed or registered with no objection by D's Nuts. And then it lists a whole bunch of other companies that have similar names. D's Nuts,
God,
D's
yeah.
Nuts, Milk D's Nuts, and so on and so on. What is
That's a
more
good point. I mean, the last shoot didn't, like this part, Milk These Nuts, kind of a stretch. These Nuts, that's a decent one. But that one top, the top one right here, that's like the closest you can get, possibly. Plus, this one is like more tied to the nuts, like the nut brand, with like its seasoning. I mean, it's not entirely like similar to snack food, but at the same time, it is more like kind of like a savory food as opposed to the sweet Feastables chocolate. But of course, they probably didn't come after these guys because they're nowhere near as big as like Mr. Beast. Therefore, they're not gonna waste their time trying to like chase after them.
names. These nuts, Milk These Nuts, and so on and so on. What is more problematic with your statement is that extensive and profusive common law use of D's Nuts in connection with nuts, as well as other foods and beverage products. While not as misleading as your own Google search for D's Nuts chocolate, to a simple Google search for D's Nuts, food products, and so on show as an extensive and profuse use. One such hit was the website D's Nuts Store that sells nuts under the brand name. Yeah, and then they just keep on showing there's way more people using the same name, but no one else is being sued. If D's Nuts is not concerned about the extensive and profusive use of D's Nuts and D's Nuts in correlation and connection. So I was just laughing at how many times D's Nuts is in a legal document. I have a garbage sense of humor, which based on your letter would be a direct competitor in addition to not being concerned about use of those marks with other food and beverage products. Feastables sees no reason for concern regarding use in connection with a peanut butter chocolate bar. Aside from the fact that the registrations and the extensive and profuse common law use of D's Nuts, and D's Nuts contradicts your client's allegedly vigorous enforcement of its mark, they support the argument that D's Nuts is extremely weak and entitled to very little protection. In addition, your assertion that Feastables' use of D's Nuts infringes your client's trademark rights in the mark D's Nuts simply does not reflect reality. The legal question is not as easy as whether the use of D's Nuts...
This is like a small detail, but it pissed me off how little they actually try. I'm not sure if this is the one from Mr. Beast or the one from the On company, but they fuck up the spelling and the grammar so many times in this document. Like this, I know it's tiny, but the T is not capitalized. Oh god, you're so fucked.
D's Nuts trademark rights and the mark D. Drinking game. Take a shot every time I say D's
Also,
Nuts.
shouldn't this part have an apostrophe? Because it's, it's her, like Auntie D's Nuts.
Is likely to cause confusion or to mistake to deceive customers of D's Nuts. More simply stated and illustrated below, a side-by-side comparison of the products and packaging demonstrates that in context, there is no likelihood that a customer will ever be confused between the origin of the two products. As set forth in more detail below, that is even more apparent when considering the specific factors relevant to the infringement. In short, our client believes that there is no likelihood of confusion between marks that are spelled differently, have different connotations, and are applied to different products, and are located in a space with innumerable competitors. Accordingly, we respectfully decline your invitation to modify Feastables products or take any further action with regard to your demand letter. Then D's Nuts essentially replied by saying, no, if you say it out loud, it sounds the same, and we're both in Walmart shelves, even though they're not in the same aisle. Then they showed
I've never seen it, because of course they don't sell them in the UK, but I bet you if they did, it would be at the bottom shelf, because nobody would fucking want them.
From their social media pages where people mentioned Mr. Beast. Then a notification on Instagram where someone said, hey, Mr. Beast jacked your swag. And finally, some Walmart search results where Mr. Beast came up before them. But the judge sided with D's Nuts.
I'm sorry, I have to go back. How big of a nerd? How big of a nerd do you have to be to tag a company in the comment section and be like, yo, they stole from you?
Someone said, hey, Mr. Beast jacked your swag. And finally, some Walmart search results where Mr. Beast came up before them. But the judge sided with D's Nuts, the nut company, and approved a permanent injunction between D's Nuts and Feastables, and they said that the Mr. Beast-backed company can no longer use the name D's Nuts or anything else resembling D's Nuts to sell their candy bars. But the D's Nuts chocolate bars are still for sale online, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. What do you
yeah, I can definitely tell like the judge was oh, hold on, the video's almost over.
think about all this? Do you think they're trademark infringing on the D's Nuts Nut Company, or do you think the D's Nuts Nut Company is currently chasing a bag? If you want another deep dive, you can check out this video here. And again, shout out to Mad Catster. You can subscribe to him here, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, it's a pretty good video. I definitely feel like the judge in that court case was like some 50-year-old man that has no idea what's going on. He's like, the nut company, I love nuts. Of course, fuck over this random company. Mr. Beast, who the fuck are they? If it was some Zoom up there saying like for real, having the fringe haircut, of course he would definitely like side with Mr. Beast. But at the same time, it's probably like such a small detail, like he's not gonna chase after the court case that much. So if they demand him to like change the name, they probably will. Plus I feel like, how long has this brand been out? Like over a year? The joke's probably worn out by then, therefore they don't really give a shit if the D's Nuts punchline is gone. I mean, that promo video did at the beginning, God, it was just so painful. I mean, it was probably some guy like on a business team design like, guys, what is called it D's Nuts? Like, I refuse to believe like it was actually Jimmy up there saying like, okay, we have to call it this because of the meme. But I still hate like how snide he looked in that video, just saying like, oh yeah, I love D's Nuts. Get it? Because of the meme. But aside from that, I still respect this brand more than like he's a fast food chain, Mr. Beast Burger. I mean, that's sort of kind of decent with the whole like hype of like a YouTuber making their own like restaurant. But over the time, it just got fucked up. I remember making a video on it, and it was just like the most fucked shit ever. Like every single one was making like a huge mistake with the food, which is either like a mess or just not even like similar to the menu that you normally see everywhere else. It was only natural because he's a YouTuber at the end of the day, so I don't expect him to be like a mastermind when it comes to like he's got a fast food business, which is why he definitely focused more energy and time on the Feastables brand, because that was way easier to ensure would be good. And you could sell it like up anywhere else outside of America. It's actually interesting seeing like how much YouTubers have evolved in terms of like making their own foods and drinks. Of course, you have Jake Paul and KSI's Prime, which is pretty big, but I think apart from the UK and the USA, I don't really see it as massive as anywhere else. But I would like to see the Feastables brand also expand outside of the USA, maybe in Europe as well, which would be pretty good. I mean, I'm not saying it's the best, I'm not saying it's gonna be the best chocolate ever, but I feel like it would be pretty decent, you know. It looked kind of good, to be honest, you know. Anything Mr. Beast makes delicious. I love Jimmy.